This photograph captures a moment of profound humanity amidst the brutal reality of war. We see a military funeral, seemingly ordinary, yet the circumstances surrounding it are extraordinary. The year is 1943. The location? The Channel Islands, the only part of the British Isles occupied by Nazi Germany during World War II. Two Royal Air Force airmen, likely shot down during a raid, are being laid to rest. But look closer. The men conducting the burial, rendering the final salutes, are not their comrades. They are German soldiers, the very forces they fought against. The German occupation of the Channel Islands was a complex and often paradoxical period. While instances of brutality and hardship were undeniable, there also existed a strange undercurrent of pragmatism. Even a grudging respect between occupier and occupied. Resources were scarce for everyone. The islands were heavily fortified and garrisoned, placing a strain on German supplies. The islanders, facing shortages of food and fuel, were forced to rely on the German authorities for basic necessities. This created a complex web of interdependence. Furthermore, the islands' relative isolation from the main theaters of war and the lack of large-scale fighting contributed to a different atmosphere than in other occupied territories. This, combined with the inherent island mentality and the pre-existing social structures that remained largely intact, fostered a unique dynamic. This photograph is a testament to that dynamic. The Geneva Convention dictated the respectful burial of enemy soldiers, and in this case, the Germans adhered to it, perhaps even exceeding the bare minimum. The presence of the firing party, the careful folding of the Union Jack, these details speak to a sense of ceremony, a recognition of shared humanity in the face of death. It's important to note that this wasn't propaganda. These ceremonies were rarely photographed. The photographer here may have been a German soldier capturing a personal moment, or perhaps an islander documenting the events of the occupation. This image likely survived by chance, a snapshot of a moment that belies the larger narrative of conflict. It reveals the nuances of occupation, the quiet acts of respect that existed alongside the undeniable hardship and oppression. The story of the Channel Islands during World War II is often overlooked, a footnote in the larger history of the conflict. Yet this photograph provides a unique glimpse into a largely forgotten corner of the Second World War, a reminder that even amidst the darkest chapters of history, the human spirit can endure and even find common ground. Let's delve deeper into the complexities of this image and the context surrounding it. The Channel Islands were demilitarized by the British government prior to the German occupation, a decision that has been debated ever since. This meant that when the German forces arrived in June 1940, there was no military resistance. The islands became an anomaly, a piece of British territory under Nazi control. This unusual situation led to a strange mix of collaboration, resistance, and quiet accommodation. The lives of the islanders were profoundly affected by the occupation. Food and other essential supplies became scarce, rationing was strictly enforced, and the islanders had to contend with the constant presence of German troops. Yet, everyday life continued, albeit under drastically altered circumstances. Schools remained open, albeit with German oversight. Businesses operated, though often under German control or serving German needs. This created an environment of moral ambiguity, where survival often required a delicate balancing act. Some islanders actively resisted the occupation through acts of sabotage, hiding escaped forced laborers, or gathering intelligence. Others collaborated for personal gain or out of a sense of pragmatism. The vast majority, however, simply tried to navigate the difficulties of daily life under occupation. The German soldiers stationed in the Channel Islands also experienced the war in a unique way. Relatively safe from direct combat, many developed relationships with the islanders, despite the official prohibitions. The image we see here of a respectful burial for enemy airmen likely reflects this complex reality. It speaks to a sense of shared humanity, a recognition that the soldiers on both sides were ultimately individuals caught in the gears of war. The careful observance of military protocol, even for the enemy, may also reflect a desire to maintain order and a sense of normalcy in an otherwise abnormal situation. However, it's crucial to remember that this act of respect existed within a broader context of occupation, which included forced labor, deportations, and the suppression of dissent. This photograph should not be interpreted as romanticizing the occupation or minimizing the suffering experienced by the islanders. Rather, it offers a nuanced perspective on the complexities of human behavior under extraordinary circumstances, a reminder that even in wartime, compassion and respect can sometimes emerge in unexpected places. It compels us to look beyond the simple narratives of good versus evil and to grapple with the messy, often contradictory realities of lived experience during wartime. This image, frozen in time, encapsulates a story that continues to resonate with us today. It challenges us to explore the gray areas of history, to understand the motivations and actions of individuals on both sides of the conflict, and to appreciate the enduring power of human connection even in the midst of division and strife. This photograph, while seemingly a simple depiction of a military funeral, opens a window onto a multitude of historical questions. Who were these airmen? What were their missions? What were their families back home thinking, never knowing the circumstances of their burial? We can piece together some of the story through historical records. RAF records often detail the missions flown, the planes lost, and the names of the missing. Channel Island archives may contain records of burials conducted by the German occupying forces. By cross-referencing these sources, we can potentially identify the individuals in this photograph and learn more about their lives and their fates. This painstaking research can give individual faces and stories to the anonymous figures we see before us, restoring their humanity and acknowledging their sacrifice. The image also raises questions about the German soldiers involved in the burial. What were their thoughts and feelings as they performed these rites for their enemy? Were they simply following orders, or did they feel a sense of empathy, a recognition of shared fate? The German Wehrmacht was not a monolithic entity. Individual soldiers held diverse views and beliefs, and their experiences of war varied widely. Some were ardent Nazis, while others were conscripts who served reluctantly. Some were hardened veterans, while others were young men far from home, grappling with the moral ambiguities of war. This photograph offers a glimpse into the human side of the German occupation, reminding us that even within the ranks of the enemy, there were individuals capable of compassion and respect. Furthermore, this image prompts us to consider the long-term impact of the occupation on the Channel Islands. The experience of living under German rule left a lasting mark on the island's collective memory. After the war, there were difficult questions about collaboration and resistance, about how to reconcile the wartime experiences with the return to normalcy. The physical reminders of the occupation, such as bunkers and fortifications, still dot the landscape today, serving as tangible reminders of this complex period. The stories and memories of the occupation continue to be passed down through generations, shaping the island's identity and their relationship with the past. This single photograph, therefore, is more than just a historical artifact. It's a portal to a deeper understanding of the human experience during wartime. It challenges us to examine the complexities of occupation, the nuances of human behavior under extreme circumstances, and the enduring power of memory. By exploring the stories behind the image, By delving into the historical context and the individual lives it represents, we can gain a richer and more complete understanding of this often overlooked chapter of World War II. And in doing so, we can draw valuable lessons about the human condition and the enduring search for meaning and connection, even in the darkest of times.